Got my CNC machine ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and make another Pikachu on the CNC. Pine wood, stained Kona brown. You can see right there it is stained first. And what we're gonna do is be removing the stained pieces to get the different profiles of the Pikachu. So I have two bits. I have a 1/8 inch end mill bit. I have a 0.8 millimeter end mill bit, and then we'll finish up with a profile using the 1/8 inch end mill bit again to get the profile shape. So I just calibrated my machine, got the Z probe zeroed out with the 1/8 inch end mill bit. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that. Put that over here on the side. I'm gonna go ahead and load our file. Let's load it. This is version 2. So we're gonna put the 1/8 inch end mill bit. You can see it's on there. And we're gonna get starting and get it cut. So let's get the camera set up. Got the camera set up. We'll get a little more lighting in there. Hopefully that's good enough. And then we're going to go ahead and get it starting to cut. So again, we're going to go from piece of wood to this. Let's get going. is what it's going to look like when it's done. This is a work turtle I made earlier. And if anybody's a fan of The Office, Kevin and his chili. Okay. So that is a lot of the detail, but so now I got to get more of that out. So what I'm going to do is put a smaller bit to get more of that inside stuff out. So I'm going to take out this current bit. Let's raise it up just a little bit. Let's raise it up. All right, we're going to take this one off here. So let's see. I always go the wrong way to start, and I did again. Swapping this one out. So here is our 1/8 inch end mill bit. This got us a lot of the material. So now what we're going to do is get a lot of that internal details with something a lot smaller to get those fine pieces. So here is a 0.8 millimeter end mill bit. So that's going to help get a lot of that detail that the bigger one couldn't get in there. So we're going to tighten this in. And then it's on, but we still need to calibrate it. So we will calibrate it with our probe. Again, if you enjoy this content, please hit like and subscribe. Really helps the channel grow. I like doing these and doing live streams of them. So let's move it over here. And what we're going to do is calibrate it so we know how high off the Z or off our Z-axis or our material we are. So we're going to initialize the probe. I'm going to go like this, make sure we're good. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to have to drop it down just a little bit. All right, let's get the probe again. I'm going to touch it so it knows it's there. And then if you're going to watch, you're going to see that that probe is going to start to lower on our material. So let's start the probe. It's going to touch once, and it's going to slowly work its way down until it touches it again. And now it knows exactly how high off that material we are. So we have our new 0.8 millimeter end mill probe calibrated. We're going to turn on the router in a second. Let me just load the file. So here's what I'm using. A little software. So that was what we just took out, and now we're going to load in the detail. Use that. And you can see this is going to get all that detail. So our file is loaded. We're going to go ahead and set the camera up. And then we're going to turn on the router. And we'll start it. Again, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And let's get going. Looks like it's going to work on the feet first. So you can see it right now, it's doing little fingers. And it's getting all that small detail out of there. Let's see if I can't. Okay, so that got a lot of the detail of that 0.8 millimeter bit. So now I need to cut it out of the wood. So what I'm going to do is go back to that 1/8 inch end mill bit, and we're going to cut it out so we get that. So what I'm going to have to do is swap out that bit. So let's back it up just a little bit. And we're going to move it inwards. And then what I'm going to do is replace the bit. So let's go here. Replace that bit. And you can see that's the one we just used, this tiny little guy, this 0.8 millimeter end mill. Not focusing too well, but let's get that one out. And we're going to put our new one in. So again, this is our 1/8 inch end mill bit. Raise it up some more. And again, if you're enjoying this content, please hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. And if you have any suggestions on other things you'd like to see, different Pokemon, I've done a Ward Turtle. I did Kevin from The Office with his chili. Or anything in general. I'm always looking for ideas. So let's tighten that down. And now we're going to calibrate it. So I will get my calibration probe right here. Put that in. And then we will calibrate it. So let's start it. Probe. I gotta touch it first. So touch our probe to the bit. And then here, I'll zoom in here so you can see it calibrate if you're curious. Let's zoom in a little bit. So what it's going to do is once I start it, it's going to touch that plate. And it should know. Let me straighten it out a little more. There it goes. All right, let's start. So you see it goes down, touch the plate, and it's going to go back up. And it's going to touch the plate again. Boom, we're calibrated. Okay, so let's get this profile bit going. So here's what I just did. So we're gonna go ahead and load in our profile. Load that in really quick. And then, because this gets a little loud, we're gonna wanna close the door here. So let's close it. Yeah. Cooper. Okay, get the door closed. Should probably get Pikachu out of there first. We're gonna start our router. And we'll start it. it is done. So you can see, let me back up the spindle. Let's do... And that's it cut out. So what I'm going to do is clean it up a little bit. But once I'm done cleaning it up, it'll look like that. And that is Pikachu, and that's the stream for the day. Thank you very much for watching. If you stayed to the end, again, I did 2 bits, 3 different changes. Started with an 1/8 inch end mill, did a 0.8 millimeter end mill for detail, and then finished it up again with a 1/8 inch end mill to get the profile cut out. So I'm going to put these on my Etsy page. If you like and subscribe, or if you go to my channel, you'll find a link to my Etsy page. I'll sell this for about $12 to $15, not too much. I got a wart turtle also. Let me see if I can't get that really quick. Got a wart turtle here. I also did Kevin from The Office and his chili. And if you like the show tires, Valley Forge Automotive Center wall art. So again, thanks for watching the stream. Hope you subscribe and watch the next one. And then have a great Halloween. I'll do Gengar coming up, probably this coming Thursday for Halloween. Do a nice Halloween Pokemon. And thanks very much. See you guys later. Bye.